Hello everybody and welcome to Car Confections. Now today is the day where we can finally show you what it's like to drive the refreshed Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. We showed you part one and now it's time to drive it, so let's go ahead and get to it. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration so you can see what this powertrain is all about.
All right, that was 60 miles per hour with this Corolla Cross. We're in the hybrid powertrain, and as you can probably tell, we're actually accelerating up a fairly steep hill at that point. And acceleration is certainly not bad at all. So as far as, your differences, of course, as we kind of talked about in part one, Corolla Cross continues to be available in two different powertrain selections. So you've got a gas option, you also have the hybrid option. The hybrid is the more powerful of the two. This is Toyota's 5th gen hybrid system with a 2-liter 4-cylinder paired with your electric motors, and that produces 196 horsepower. As opposed to the traditional gas-powered model, which is making 169 horsepower, you can see that you do get a decent power benefit in addition to, of course, the extra fuel economy.
Yeah, as far as the 0 to 60 is concerned, we're looking at 8 seconds to 60 here in the hybrid version as compared to quite a bit of a slower 0 to 60 in the gas version. So I think that's something worth noting. The all-electric torque of this model definitely makes it feel a little bit quicker off the line than your typical vehicle in this segment. Its main competition, like the Honda HR-V, certainly will feel a lot slower than this hybrid version of the Corolla Cross. Now, for those of you that are not selecting this hybrid, Toyota actually says about 60% of you will go for the straight gas option. That's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 169 horsepower, 150 pound-feet of torque. So reasonable power figures on that front as well, but I would recommend, perhaps getting this hybrid if you want a little bit of extra power, a little bit more of a smooth feel when you accelerate, as well as better fuel economy, which we'll talk about in just a second.
Yeah, this definitely feels pretty spiffy. Like Mason was saying, the electric torque from the motors really makes all the difference because this segment is known for being pretty slow, and this is one of the better options in terms of getting, a decent amount of power. Now, as far as other elements to discuss, the transmission. So the traditional gas option will be a continuously variable transmission. Here with the hybrid, we have Toyota's typical eCVT. And also the hybrids come standard with all-wheel drive. So Toyota has a rear electric motor, which kind of kicks in when you need that all-wheel drive traction.
Yeah. Now, the gasoline version does come standard with front-wheel drive or optional all-wheel drive, and that's a traditional mechanical all-wheel drive setup if that's something that matters to you. But we're just kind of cruising along on this beautiful highway here just outside of Napa, California. Lots of beautiful vineyards, and I think it's a great time to discuss ride quality for this model. Now, any vehicle in this segment will let in some intrusions into the cabin, and the Corolla Cross is no exception to that. However, I will say that it's pretty reasonably good ride for this segment of vehicle. When you hit a bump in the road, it does a pretty good job of soaking that up. I find the seats on this XSE grade to be quite comfortable as well. And we've driven other versions of the Corolla Cross before as well, and some of the lower trim levels, just make sure the seats are to your personal liking, because I would say for the cloth seats that we found those to be a little bit on the firmer side, but overall ride is pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely hope that for the 2026 refresh, the S and SE trims, that those will have a kind of more cush to the seats, because these are quite nice. And of course, you're not really using this in a day-to-day for enthusiast driving per se, but it does not drive poorly. Your handling is relatively nice, good response off-center. The steering is lightweight, of course, for your daily driving, and just a little bit of body roll. before we move on to the rest of the video, a lot of you guys may know that we have a long-term 2025 Toyota Camry. And while we love most things about it, we did not love the floor mats it came with. That's why we want to take a second to tell you about our new floor mats from Lasfit.
Their mats have many advantages over the factory mats, like the TPE material they're made from. This high-quality material is not as flimsy as rubber, but also not as rigid as polyethylene. This makes the mats easy to install and durable enough to withstand long-term use without yellowing or hardening. And speaking of long-term, we've had our Lasfit floor mats for over 6 months now. And during that time, we've went on lots of road trips over thousands of miles with a lot of people who, well, make things really dirty on the inside.
As a matter of fact, we took the Camry on a road trip all the way to Florida. And on that road trip, we had a big spill. We're not normally soda drinkers, but in order to stay awake, we had soda which slipped out of our hands and onto the floorboard. Thankfully, because of our Lasfit mats, none of the mess went anywhere except on the mats, which we simply extracted out of the vehicle and rinsed off with clean water. Goodbye sticky, hello clean.
Now the reason no dirt or liquid made it to our pristine carpet is because Lasfit uses 3D scanning technology with real vehicle data to ensure a perfect fit, even contouring to specific details of your car's interior. Simply put, from big incidents like that to muddy feet and crumbs and all the in-between, these mats have stood the test of time and they look like they're brand new. So if you're ready to snag a set of these Lasfit floor mats and protect your precious ride for years to come, use code AUGD1 to save money on the Lasfit website. A link is provided in the video description. Now it's time to get back to the video. Now we also need to talk about fuel economy. I think that's an integral piece of this Corolla Cross is the fact that we have the hybrid version that gets really good fuel economy. So for 2026, we are sitting at 46 in the city, 39 in the highway, 42 miles per gallon combined. That is 12 mpg better than the gasoline version. So really big fuel economy benefits for choosing this model, and it's much better than what you'd find in a Honda HR-V, for instance. That vehicle doesn't get the best fuel economy, so you're definitely saving a lot at the pump by choosing this. Now, speaking of the traditional gas variants, the all-wheel drive comes in at 30 mpg, and the front-wheel drive comes in at 32 mpg. So pretty decent fuel economy across the board, but the hybrid's definitely going to be the star of the show there when it comes to that. And let's get into our slam dunk and airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk on this?
Yeah, so we're going to say it is the hybrid powertrain. So as we mentioned earlier, it's not really typical to have a hybrid option even in the subcompact crossover class. The fact that this also has 196 horsepower is more power than most of the things this competes with, and very similar to actually what you get in the big brother, the Toyota RAV4. So in that way, this feels like a class above by having that powertrain option.
Yeah, and I will also point out that they've made some good additions for 2026 to keep it pretty competitive. Now, on the flip side, what's our airball? Our airball has got to be the price. This vehicle was already one of the most expensive in the segment, and for 2026, it continues to get more expensive. The one we're sitting in today is about $38,000. This is a nearly 40 grand subcompact SUV. So this is very pricey for the segment, and also Toyota kind of removes a lot of the features if you go for a less expensive version, and it does feel a little bit cheaper inside of this cabin as compared to a lot of the rivals like Mazda CX-30.
Yeah, by no means do you have to spend this much money, but, you know, just be aware that, like Mason said, if you get that base price that sounds really appealing, you're not really going to get the same experience in terms of the features and things you see inside of this loaded model.
And now we're going to get our sound level rating going 55 miles per hour to see how quiet the refreshed Corolla Cross is. We're looking at 60.4 decibels is our sound level reading in this model. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. There are a lot of rivals to look at, and when we pull that up on our website, what we're going to be sitting at is one of the louder options in the segment. Now, That's not the full story here, because I do want to point out we are on a media drive here in Napa, California. The road surfacing is definitely a little bit louder than our typical road that we would test at in Kentucky, so I think that's part of the sound level rating itself. However, previous Corolla Crosses have not tested all that quiet either, so I don't think that's changing much for 2026.
Right, and when you look at the class above, like the compact SUVs, those tend to be a significant step up in terms of sound insulation versus subcompacts.
And guys, that's going to wrap up part 2 of our Toyota Corolla Cross review. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. Also, if you're looking to buy a Toyota Corolla Cross or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of all of that, as well as our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible. And if you're not already, we'd love to welcome you in. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies. Again, we'd like to thank LaceFit for protecting our Camry and sponsoring today's video.
And if you'd like to protect your precious ride, head over to lacefit.com and use code AUGD1 to save money.
A link is provided in the video description.